Nice.
Hey now. Yeah. We are live. Hey, Moogle. Moogle's like,
wow,
sitting there, tugging his schmeat, waiting for the list critics to arrive.
It's your boys. We're ready for the show.
All right,
That's what he's always doing, just off mooging off.
Hey, mooging off. Just sitting there at full moog. Wakes up at quarter moog, moogs off, stays at full moog for the full day, moogs off one last time, then hits the sack. And by that I mean his sack.
Maybe it's like the word. Maybe it's like Smurf saying Smurf, like Moog just moogs with his moog.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking like how Moogle would be a very funny guest host, but his microphone is booty. But I don't know. Recently on voice chat, Moogle, you've been kind of okay. Like when you come on Music Appreciation, like I could understand you and everything. We just have to get rid of that like good 20 seconds of lag every time I ask you something.
Is booty the Gen Z term for bad now?
It's hardly a Gen Z term. It means ass. I'm saying it's ass.
Oh, I don't know.
People have been saying booty for a while. I know you're not good on like modern slang, but that one's not new. Hey, Alice, how's it going?
I didn't know. I didn't know you were getting that internal with the term ass.
Oh, I always say like stuff's booty or stuff is scrode or just balls or you know. Yeah, I'm feeling like next month we may have a grand experiment and try to get Moogle on. What do you think, Jesse? Hey, Riddle.
I'm totally down.
It's just like he has to actually show up and not be like asleep or, you know, like trying.
We're giving them plenty of time.
What do you think, Moogle? Would you be? You think that you could like actually like stay attentive for 2 hours and, you know, not like fall asleep or chase the chalk wagon or moog off or whatever the hell it is you're doing over there? Because I've known you forever and I think you would be funny.
Unknown Riddle. What is this about Sue's booty pipe?
Oh my God, you were not. Oh my God. Okay, should I tell the story real quick?
Might as well.
I was playing Morrowind and this came up and I forgot why it came up, but it just did. When I was 17, you know, and I had like my first ever job, like working at well, my first real job, working at the Wendy's, and there was this lady Sue, or Susan, never Suey. I'm not no goddamn pig. I don't wear no goddamn seatbelts. They kill motherfucker. You know, she was a real pencil tucky idiot. And she was gross and crass and nobody liked her, right? And one day, it was like my day off, and then like the next day they were telling me that like what happened to her is something that has happened to many people, is she went and split her pants, right?
Oh.
The unfortunate thing, though, is that she wasn't wearing any underwear.
Oh.
The far more unfortunate thing is that at no point did she realize that she split her pants.
Oh.
And the far, far, far more unfortunate thing is nobody was willing to tell her.
Oh.
So every time she bent over, it was the brown eye channel, you know, all brown eye all the time. So everybody was like, every time she went to bend over for something, like, no, I got it, you know, just trying to prevent her from doing it. And I was just like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't see this. That sounds disgusting. So we just started talking about, you know, I said I didn't see Sue's booty pipe, but I heard it was horrible. And then it just sort of became a channel meme.
Let's talk more about booty pipes.
Okay, so it sounds good on my end, but I would like the people that are currently in the stream to tell me how EB and Jesse are sounding. How's the bouncing? Does anybody need to be louder? Does anybody need to be less loud? Let me know, please.
I was just saying about Sue that the brown eye of Sauron was there.
Ever watching.
Lord of the O-rings.
That was a good one.
She really sounded like that, too. Can't make me ain't no wearing no goddamn seatbelts. That's how they get you.
Does she have loose teeth?
Does she have any teeth?
Barely had any teeth. She had meth mouth, you know?
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I was
They're
commenting, we
real-
don't even know if this woman is still alive. but
A
we're
real
laughing.
gummer.
Well, considering she was definitely doing drugs and was in her 30s, but didn't look a day over 65, and doesn't wear seatbelts as a rule, I'm thinking no.
Yikes.
I'm thinking no. I don't know if she's, featuring in a highway safety video right now, or, just really at the bottom of the barrel,
Featuring in the sequel to Alice Through the Windshield Glass.
Okay, so the tentative plan could be to have Moogle in June. And, God, I should have had June in June, but I was, so anxious to get her on as soon as we could.
Oh, June bug.
Yeah. And then Alice in July. And then we got to get you back, Riddle. Riddle was supposed to be our very first guest host, but had a scheduling conflict, so wound up being the second.
I wound up being the first.
Yep, and you're the first to return. You're the first to
Just
return.
a gaggle of firsts.
Although, actually, wait. Okay, so all that I said is tentative, by the way, because I still want to get Sarah on. Sarah was supposed to be the host today, but she was working, could not get the day off, so.
Bummer.
So I still want to get Sarah on. I think she would be really good, too. So, yeah. But it's not like we're going anywhere. We got plenty more months, right?
Right up.
I hope so.
Oh, God. That
Like
sound, that sound dark.
At least whole American months. Whenever you subscribe to our channels, like, been subscribed for X a whole American months. It always cracks me up.
One entire American month.
Don't forget about Smarch.
Those he smirch with her. Oh, man. I was hanging out with Captain Retro last night. He played Final Fantasy V, and I didn't realize he'd never play it before, so I almost put a spoiler. It was almost a spoiler in the raid call. Because I did the Gilgamesh quote from Final Fantasy V, like, let's fight like men, and women, and men who dress, or women who dress like men, and I didn't realize that he was at the very beginning of the game and didn't know Faris was a woman. And had never played it before, but he didn't get the reference, so it went over his head. And then he got to that scene.
But yeah, luckily it's not too far in that you find out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it was right at the ship graveyard, which is where he ended stream. Right after that scene, and there was one of the mods was like, "It isn't in this version," and I'm like, "What?" It's like, oh, just somebody was telling me because he's playing the jank ass PlayStation version of Final Fantasy V.
Why?
Because that's what he has. And he's one of those, I play on original consoles,
Yes, hardcore.
Yeah,
The person he was rating appeared to be playing the, 3D version of Final Fantasy IV from Steam, so.
Yeah, or maybe from 3DS for all we know.
I think he rated him, I don't know, I woke up there and it was some dude named Brad playing the 3D
Yeah, I
version of
didn't
Final
stick
Fantasy
around
IV.
too long after because I had to reboot my computer. But, but anyway, yeah, he was saying, I'm just proving somebody wrong because one of my friends was saying that the scene that revealed that Faris was a woman was not in the PlayStation version. And I'm like, without saying any spoilers, because Captain Retro hasn't, played this yet, but how could that be? How could they not? How could the PlayStation? That's impossible. But it struck me how really bad the translation in the PlayStation version was. The enemy Kurlabos was called Carl Boss.
Awesome.
You know those squids that are called suckers? It was soccer in the PlayStation version.
Of course, famously, Butts, which is technically, actually his name.
Well, it's pronounced
not hilarious.
Well, in the PlayStation version, it was Bartz. But in Japan, it's Butz, which is pronounced bats. Believe it or not, it's said like bats. Huh. But the fan translation had on the Super Famicom had it as butts or boots or whatever. But it's supposed to be bats. Yeah, because I said I played this on Super Famicom and the translation was better than this. Damn, Square Enix, you suck.
We played the PlayStation version. We got the. Yeah. I think it was Final Fantasy Anthology that had 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6 was on Anthology. Anyway, guys, it's 7. We're gonna be rolling till just about 9. So let's let's get ready here, which means I gotta find. Let's go. Let's fade out the music, and we're gonna go right over here to the list critiques. List critiques remastered. Mon Dieu, mon cher. I am vamping as I look for my Tumblr Gets Deep window, which I cannot find. Oh, I found it. All right, I actually have two from Pleatitudes. I have Tumblr, and I also have 25 companies that made dumb business decisions and ended up paying for it. I think that might be fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. But anyway, here we are with 25 best and funniest viral gems from the deep end of Tumblr this week. So they're putting the word deep back in there at least.
From the deep end.
Yeah, and they're actually telling me that it is 25 instead of just saying like 21 plus. I never understood why they do that shit. But
that's the age restriction.
You can't be over 21? We're fucked.
Yeah.
All right, number 1, Guardians of Gahulonwi? Whatever, says, I think one of the funniest experiences of my life was watching American Psycho with my sister afterwards. We both went, okay, let's do something more lighthearted now. Oh, no. And put on the dubbed version of Howl's Moving Castle. And we both lost our minds when we heard Howl start talking. First of all, there's nothing lighthearted about that.
I've never seen it, so I don't get it.
I want to say it's because Christian Bale is Howl's
that's why.
Voice actor.
Yeah, because you're watching him kill people, and then he's
Yeah. So it's kind of just the mood whiplash. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, so.
You know what? I've always wondered if it was Ghibli or Ghibli, right?
I've heard it pronounced both ways.
So I was gonna ask Hitomi, and then I realized, why am I waiting for her to be around when I can just like look online? And I found out that it's Jiburi in Japanese, so it is Ghibli. So yeah, but but you know, it's so weird. That sounds wrong. Ghibli sounds better, but whatever. It's a nonsense word anyway. It doesn't actually mean anything.
Well, in America, we've got the word giblets, so maybe that's what we're thinking.
Giblets. Yeah. Studio giblets. All right, number 2, Context Machine. It's machine with an S. Our Japanese class found it funny that in common terminology, food isn't very distinguished, specifically rice, until it is pointed out to us that in English, meal is loose, roughly ground grain. Oh, so I get what they're saying. Because meal and food, basically the same idea, but meal can mean rice.
Like, well, like you could say bone meal.
Yeah. Well, that's not rice, but yeah. So then Car Cat Girl Vanta says, humans be like staple crop. And Tettle Tail says, staple crop to what? And then the official Tumblr of uBlock Origin says, directly to forehead.
Fly directly to the forehead.
Got him! Oh, hey, Jesse, how's Candace?
Good?
What?
I don't get it.
You're supposed to say, who the hell is Candace?
Well, the thing is, I knew a Candace.
Well, let's try that again. How's Candace?
Who the hell is Candace?
Candace dick fit in your mouth. What?
Oh, you got me, guy.
Yeah, there you go.
I got him.
Got him. All right, number 3. Metfell says, only good thing about Christmas time is I get to hear Carol of the Bells all the time, but the bad part is I have to act normal like that song doesn't go hard as fuck. Every other Christmas song is like La La La, I Love You Christmas, or Oh Jesus, I Love You. Meanwhile, Carol of the Bells is like fire shooting out of a flaming skull, but it's like in a snow globe. It's like a fucking boss track. I mean, no 404, no lies detected, right?
I assume they're talking about the Trans-Siberian Orchestra version.
Well, any version is it.
It's my favorite Christmas carol.
It does go harder than average for Christmas music, which is usually pretty lame.
Which, of course, for the joke, you know, they tell me this whole orchestra is trans.
And from Siberia. All right, number 4. Mostly funny Twitter tweets. Posts a Twitter tweet from somebody named Chris the Friend, who says, I found out that in England they grow an evil rhubarb underground, and it must be harvested by candlelight. They call it forced rhubarb. And there's actually a picture of somebody. It looks like they're fucking harvesting Crimson Nirnroot from Skyrim. Like the rhubarb that they're holding appears to be glowing. And it's in this weird underground bunker with eerie candles and stuff. So then, Chris the Friend says, "Holy shit, evil devil plant," and posts a search result from Google. Can you hear forest rhubarb? Forest rhubarb, which is made to mature in near total darkness, grows at such an alarming rate, as much as an inch a day, that it actually makes squeaks, creaks, and pops as it gets bigger. Like you could hear it.
True bamboo too, isn't it?
Yeah, bamboo can do that too. Chris the Friend then posts, "I found out that in England they grow an evil rhubarb." Well, it's the same thing. So then Injuries and Dust says, "By growing it in the dark, it means the rhubarb doesn't place any energy and nutrition into growing leaves. So it puts everything into the edible stem and grows taller, more nutritious, and tastier. The candlelight is just tradition. You could use electric lights if you wanted." It's certainly more metal if you use candles.
It is.
I mean, it honestly look like, if you just Google forest rhubarb, it looks like they're harvesting crimson nernroot in the blackwash, you know.
It's called
black reach
rhubarb.
Yeah.
Make me a strawberry in evil rhubarb pie.
There you go. It is pretty cool. Number 5, Susie Guru and their butt pipe says, "No, but this is one of my absolute favorite bits of history. The courtesan named was Fryn, and she was indeed a renowned beauty, and was indeed put on trial for a capital crime, and yes, the sum of her defense consisted of her stripping in court, helped by her lover/defendant, and asking if the jury, all males, if they were prepared to destroy this. But this is actually a very interesting case of values dissonance. The capital crime she was accused of was blasphemy. In ancient Greek society, exceptional beauty was a sign of favor from the gods, and they took the idea that beauty indicated goodness with great seriousness. They even called the nobles kaloi kagathoi, or the beautiful and the good. So by showing off her great physical beauty, Fryn was being very clever indeed, her argument essentially being, how could I possibly commit blasphemy if the gods have given me this body? God, I adore history. And then National Shit Posting Agency says, if these tits are legit, you must acquit.
Nice.
Love it. Crimson Nernroot Doritos. All right, number 6. Screen Age Rallic says, being 18 to 25 is like playing a video game where you skip the tutorial and you're just sort of running around with no idea how anything works. And then Rumbutt says, being 25 to 30 is like later on in the game when you figured out how things work but have made poor leveling decisions along the way and are now horribly underpowered for what you're supposed to be doing. And then Pengy-chan says, being 30 to 35 is coming to the conclusion that if wildly swinging a sword at random while screaming has gotten you this far, may as well keep at it.
Uh-huh.
It's a move.
Yeah. Do what works.
Yeah. Hey, I've survived this long. I'm clearly doing something right. Number 7, Unmeltable Snow says, do you ever see a post so good that resonates with you so deeply that you mourn that you were never bright enough to think of it yourself? And then they posted a screenshot of a tweet that says, she bited my peepness ye ouch.
Can't say I'm disappointed I didn't think of that one.
Yeah. She bited my peepness ye ouch. All right. Number 7, good God, post this horrific looking, it's a Mickey Mouse gas mask. It's scary as hell. And it says, yeah, Mickey Mouse gas mask meant to put children at ease in an emergency situation, 1942. And the rebel gargoyle here says, this is the face of the people that come for you when you violate Disney copyright.
Oh, no.
It is pretty horrific looking. Okay. Number 9, Many Winged says, being a scavenger animal must be so fucking great. Imagine if every time someone died, a new restaurant opened up downtown. And, oh God, Many Winged posts a picture of the quite desiccated carcass of what I presume to be a crocodile, and they just photoshopped a Waffle House sign on it. That's just nasty. It's like it's being eaten by like crabs. I guess the crab. You know, I've heard that people can get crabs at the Waffle House. So if you know who to ask. Number 10, Biggest Gaudiest Patronuses says, fun fact about me: the one and only time I tried to diet, I drank a lot of water with lemon juice and cayenne pepper in it because of some dumb article I read online, and I came to enjoy the tangy pain. So now even though I no longer diet, my water bottles are still laced with generous amounts of cayenne pepper, and every time someone new asks me if I have any water, I am immediately jettisoned into the primal moral struggle of whether to explain to them my situation or just let them drink the spicy water.
Do you like spicy water?
Like, oh my god. Oh my god, Brad, this water's too spicy for me.
The salt is too spicy.
Yeah. Number 11, this is from the Witches versus Patriarchy community on Reddit, where Writing Prompts writes, while putting your favorite condiment on a sandwich, you accidentally make a magical occult symbol and summon a demon. So that's the writing prompt. So then T-Witch writes, you silently take 2 more slices of bread out of the package and make another sandwich. You put it on a plate with a handful of potato chips and hand it to the demon. He takes the sandwich, smiles, and vanishes in a puff of demonic smoke. The next day, you get that job promotion you were after. There was no contract, no words spoken. You owe nothing. But every now and then, another demon pops in for lunch. Demons don't often get homemade sandwiches. I think I've seen that one before. It's classic.
Interesting little scenario.
Yeah. The Broodwitch origin story, according to Alice. Number 12, Dire Woman. Have you heard of Dire Women? They're like women, but dire. Says 1800s TikTok would have been like a gang of youths hitting several hoops with sticks into a perfectly intersecting path, while that Matthews boy dives right through the center and lands in a barrel of molasses and fractures his skull, while the other boys cheer, and the caption would be like, young men presenting their fitness and flaunting their vitality.
Oh man, if only Twitter existed then.
Well, TikTok, but yeah. That would have been
TikTok, whatever.
That's exactly what it would have been. Number 13, Krabussi says, hey, I went to Bad Added Island. Bad Added Island? Okay. And everyone you know was there. Yeah, it turns out you just see the version of them they put forwards in order to not disappoint, and in actuality, everyone is just trying their best, which doesn't always mean succeeding. Yeah, you were there as well, but it's okay, because you're surrounded by your friends and loved ones, and if you take a moment, you'll realize we're all flawed by nature, that we're all full of love for one another, and that matters more than any skills or success or achievements. And then Romangry Dragon says, OP, why were you at Bad Added Island? And I have to point out at this point that every time they type Bad Added Island, it's all like capitalized, like it's a real place. Krabussi says, I'm making an incredulous expression at you. And then Romangry Dragon says, I read this post wrong. I am also at the island. I have made a sandcastle and buried my whole head inside its gates. And then Krabussi says, I am decorating your sandcastle with shells and putting leaf flags on every turret. Okay, I'm going to have to say I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm getting a little lost in the sauce here.
What is Bad Added Island?
I guess the whole point is you think you're bad at something, they're trying to do like this whole inspirational post about how, everybody thinks that they're bad at something, they've just got to try harder or work at it and stuff. And somebody posted like not having read it, and they were like, oh, well, clearly I'm bad at something because they didn't read it right.
Oh, okay.
It's a long way to go.
Number 14, the Lasagna Manifesto. Fantastic name, by the way. The Lasagna Manifesto says, one time this man approached me in a bar talking Spanish, so I just assumed he was Spanish, and we started speaking. We had a whole-ass conversation. At some point, he was like, so what part of Spain are you from? And I said, well, I'm Italian, actually. What part of Spain are you from? And he was like, I'm Greek. And then just post this picture of a very confused-looking Kermit the Frog. And then Pastel Pink Cheek says, one time I was in Argentina and I was so tired of trying to speak Spanish because I'm not very good at it, so I broke into exasperated English, and that retail seller girl quickly understood me and engaged me in conversation. We talked for a while. She introduced me to a makeup brand, and then I decided to buy it. While she was packaging the purchase, she asked me if I was from the US or perhaps the UK, and I just said, oh no, I'm Brazilian, haha. And she looked at me straight in the eyes and said in clear Portuguese, I'm Brazilian too.
Oh my god.
It do be like that.
It does. I've told you the story about when I was on DCUO, and it was very popular with both Russians and Brazilians at the time.
Come to Brazil.
They would usually just form their own little groups and do their own little thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, the people in my league, because a raid would be 8 people, and we only had like 2 or 3 people in my league, which is what they called guilds, that wanted to join, and we all spoke English. So we ended up in a group with a bunch of Brazilians who apparently were just talking shit about us the entire time.
Oh my god.
What they didn't know was one of the people in our group was Brazilian and understood every word. And at the very end, she just kind of calmly starts talking to them in Portuguese, and they're all like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, that's great. All right. Wow, you're gonna like this next username, EB. Number 15, Tony Soprano Big Naturals.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Not as funny as Gandalf's Big Naturals, but still pretty funny. It says, I hate when female is the only grammatically correct term for woman in a sentence because I literally feel like an incel. My female manager is shorter than my manager who is a woman, but at what cost? And then Guy Girl Awake says, my girl boss. And then Tony Soprano Big Natural says, well, now I know it could be worse.
Now think of Tanya.
Yeah.
Girl bossing.
Number 16, it can be difficult to understand just how routine... There's no name on this one. It can be difficult to understand just how routine-oriented cats can be if you've never owned one. If my oven timer goes off and I'm slow responding to it, my cats will run and fetch me and lead me right to it because the beepy thing means the human is supposed to go into the kitchen, and they are the only ones around here who give a damn about the rules. And then Electric Pentacle, fantastic name, sounds like a band, says, one night my partner decided to stay up and play video games whilst I got an early night, and the cat responded to this by running from the bedroom to the living room yelling because only one human had gone to bed, and so it is bedtime or not, humans, make up your minds, this is no way to run a household.
And have it both ways.
Yeah. Number 17, Nintendo says, apparently Doki Doki Literature Club is one of those just fucking play it and read nothing about it games, so I'll probably check that out. Hi, Shadow Breakson. And then they post again, about an hour in and I'm super intrigued. It's obviously foreshadowing something, but the poems are really fucking good. I think I share a lot of similar writing ideologies with this game. And then they just post like this horrified penguin face. So I guess they got to that part where the game goes completely fucking insane.
Yeah.
We got to that part because I got too bored.
I was gonna say that I thought
Well,
that game was overrated.
It goes into this whole like weird edgelord fourth wall breaking shit.
Yeah, but until then, you're just writing bad poetry. It's boring.
Yeah.
Till then, it's just a dating sim,
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Wow.
it sucks.
which lasts too long. To be
I mean,
in my
I'll just spoil it that there's suicide in it, and the main villain girl is in love with you, the player, as in not the character you were controlling, but you, the person on the computer.
Yeah,
It's one of those.
Yeah, and it gets like really fucking weird, and everybody starts acting like a total shitter, and you know.
because they start like messing with things on like the actual computer files. It's one of those games.
Yeah, like it's your computer starts doing weird shit, you know. Oh, speaking of, since I said shitter, I earlier I rated Feel the Niche, and he was playing Guilty Gear Strive, and I think Greg was in there, and Greg is a big Guilty Gear fan, was like, oh, like Necro sometimes plays, you know, the Guilty Gears, you know, once in a while. And Niche is just like, do you want some of the lore that's not confusing at all? And I'm like, not even a little bit, no. And he's like, yeah, good choice. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, there is no lore. There's just colorful anime shitters doing stuff. And he's like, well, that's it. That is the lore.
The characters are very inventive.
Yeah.
There's also a trans girl, so.
That's who he was playing as.
And a non-binary character.
Number 18, Sanders Studies says, every 21st century piece of writing advice, make us care about the characters from page one, make us empathize with them, make them interesting and different but still relatable and likable. Every piece of classic literature. Hi, it's me, the bland everyman whose only purpose is to tell you the story. I have no actual personality. Here is the story of the time I first encountered the worst people I ever met in my life. But first, 10 pages of description about the place in which I met them.
Go on.
That's not true. Some classic literature is like, hi, I'm the worst person that you've
Yeah.
ever met.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like,
Catcher in the Rye, Lolita.
Yeah. Oh my god, Lolita. Ugh. All
I
right.
mean, at least the intention of that was to make the guy the worst possible person ever.
I was going to make a joke about Charles Dickens, but then he goes into that with the next post. Modern writing advice. Yes, your protagonist should have flaws, but ultimately we should root for them and like them from the beginning. Charles Dickens. Here is the worst, ugliest, rudest, meanest, nastiest bitch you've ever met in your life. I was going to say, like, oh, well, Dickens never got the note, but apparently that was where it was leading to. All right, number 19. Jeckies says, my dad trying to explain the concept of money to me. I've seen this. Say you have a sandwich and I need your sandwich. I don't have anything to give you. You're not going to just give it to me. I would just give it to you. My dad, and it just shows this very exasperated man. Andro Fembot says, it's Andro Fembot. That's confusing because andro means man. So, all right. In elementary school, we had basically an immersive economics lesson that was playing city with different jobs and businesses. It was mostly semi-free time for socializing and selling or buying toys and snacks from each other. One of the lessons we were supposed to learn was the importance of paying a small amount of money into health and or business insurance, because you had a chance of being hit with a daily disaster and a huge bill. Anyway, some kid who didn't buy insurance got hit with the medical bill early on, so he was supposed to be bankrupt and have to sit the rest of the game out. The 8-year-olds were not having it and spontaneously invented crowdfunding so he could keep playing with everyone else. Kids who don't get it are right, actually. And then, I love this name, Sonnet Screwdriver says, endlessly, morbidly fascinated by how when you're a kid, you're constantly having parents, school, religion, media all drumming it into your head that sharing is good and you need to do it. And then you grow up and suddenly they're like, right, never mind all that. This is the real world and it's every bastard for himself.
Welcome to the real world, hippies.
Welcome to the real world, bitch. I don't know why I became Freddy Krueger there. All right, number 20. Yeah. Textile Tale again here says, we should start doing ancient aliens conspiracies, but for buildings that aren't even that old or impressive. And then Skoman Shemaliader says, no humans could make an apartment this complex.
Hey.
Oh my. Oh, man. Number 21 shows a comic panel from, I guess, a Batman comic that seems to be loosely based off of the old animated show, where the villains are at Batman's funeral, and Harley Quinn is saying, I can't believe he's dead, Puddin'. And the Joker says, well, I can't believe that he didn't die the first time he dressed up as a giant bat and jumped off a roof. And
I think I might actually know where that panel's from.
Yeah, it's got to be like one of the Batman Adventures comics. And then Stephanie Brown says, I've been laughing at this for 5 minutes.
I think it came from whatever happened to the Cape Crusader. Which
that
was
sounds
written by
about right.
Neil Gaiman, but illustrated by a bunch of artists.
It's like, I can't believe it. All right, number 22, Captain Carrie Catherine Coffee says, I don't want IKEA minimalism in my house. I want whatever the fuck Howl Pendragon had going on. And showing, of course, that famous painting where it's a man in a bed with weird hanging structures all over the place. And it says,
you gotta see this.
It's Howl's Moving Castle. So you gotta watch this movie. Hey, Yakumi, how's it going? It's instead of minimalist decor, it's maximalist. There's every tchotchke you could imagine is hanging and swinging, and
Yeah.
All right, number 23. Oh, shit! What happened? Oh, there. Oh, okay. There we go. Number 23. Twinkle Cupcake says, you know what's always good? When the villain is singing their villain song and they grab the protagonist and maneuver them into a dance. That's the shit. And then Idishido says yes, and then Dark Queen of Asgard says, and then you can see the protagonist struggling to get out of their grip, but the villain just tightens their grip, and they just do the okay sign 5 or 6 times. All right, number 24. Oh my God! So it's a picture of what appears to be, I think it was from one of those really old PlayStation commercials where they had that guy dressed up as Crash Bandicoot yelling at people.
Oh, yeah.
Yelling at Nintendo or something?
Yeah, he usually had a megaphone and, was being an asshole. And it shows their adventurer's license with the picture, and there's a stamp across that says revoked. And then it zooms in where it says, and you're going to appreciate this, EB, because of your recent trips to the hospital, sex, yes.
Nice.
And Roxalotl, let's just appreciate the name Roxalotl, says Crash Bandicoot licensed to fuck. Well, previously licensed to fuck. Apparently their license has been revoked.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's just been revoked.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 2. Nice. Yeah, well, we gave up Akumi. We stopped doing it for a little while, but we are back doing the list critics just every month now. Okay, so number 25, Dad Van says, and the fans are throwing celebratory rats on the ice. God, I love hockey. And then posts a picture that shows that, yes, that happened. I don't know.
They also did it with octopuses.
Maybe it was Cat Toy Day at the hockey arena. I don't know. And it says, the beautiful game. And then DJ Questionable Ethics. That name is amazing.
Nice.
It shows on the Jumbotron. It says this sign that says, please hold on to your rats until the conclusion of the game. Why are they giving away toy rats at a hockey game?
I know with figure skating, a lot of figure skaters will end up having like a thing that people associate with them.
Yeah.
So when that skater is done off the ice, they'll start throwing shit associated with that on the ice. Like,
yeah. What team is this? The Vermin?
Like Dennis 10 was associated with the Seth MacFarlane movie Ted of all things. So they would throw plushies of him on the ice when he was done skating.
At least they waited. Apparently they didn't wait this time.
Yeah.
And then, it still goes. Cool stuff and things says the crowd, once the game concludes, it shows a picture of a guy just tossing a fucking rat right at the camera, so to speak. Well, that was number 25. Out of 25, I have to say that this was highly amusing. Yes. I'm going to say a 24 is what I'm going to put there.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably 24, other than that one rough one I had to explain. They were all pretty good.
That's why I said instead of 25. What do you think, Jesse?
I'm online with Moogle, 22.
22. All right. Also from Pleated Jeans, we have 25 companies that made dumb business decisions and ended up paying for it.
This should be good.
Yeah. So Wicked Cool username says, in 1998, Yahoo refused to buy Google for $1 million. In 2002, Yahoo offered to buy Google for $3 billion, but Google wanted $5 billion. Yahoo refused the offer. In 2006, Yahoo was to buy Facebook for $1.1 billion, but Yahoo's CEO lowered it to $800 million and Facebook backed out. In 2008, Microsoft offered to buy Yahoo for $44.6 billion, but Yahoo refused. In 2016, Verizon bought Yahoo for $4.6 billion.
Don't forget that they bought Tumblr for $1.1 billion and then sold it for, I think, $300,000.
This is why Moogle still uses Yahoo as a search engine. He thinks like all these ideas are going to pan out eventually.
I love it when Tumblr users will respond to like a really bizarre post, like, "This is it. This is the post that cost Tumblr, that cost Yahoo $1 billion."
Number 2, Her for Drama says, there was a donut shop by my high school, opened at 6 a.m. and closed at 5 p.m., so students would be there every day before school started at 7:30, and after school ended at 2:15. They changed their hours to 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and couldn't make any more money. They shut down a few months after the change.
You got to play to your audience.
We don't need all this business at the beginning and the end of our... fuck that, right?
3 p.m.? You close at 3?
What kind of bakery waits till 8 a.m. to open? That's the real question. That's pretty wild.
And I worked at a bakery, and I was there well before opening, and I was there at like 3, 4 a.m.
Okay, so Alice, I just noticed Alice had DM'd me, and the rat thing was for the Florida Panthers. Apparently, that's just something that they do with the Florida Panthers.
I used to know what it meant back when I watched more hockey.
Yeah, it's called the rat trick. I don't know why it's called that, but
instead of a hat trick.
Yeah, there's an entire ass Wikipedia page about it. So it's a known entity, and now I got to find my way back to where I was. Here we are. Okay, number 3, 4 Cans McMike says, Yahoo bought Tumblr for $1.1 billion and sold it for $3 million 6 years later. Just think about the difference between $3 million and $1.1 billion.
Oh, my head.
That's a lot of difference there. I
was even seeing watching Izzy's video today, they were like, and Tumblr users actually seem kind of proud that they did that, and
Yeah.
I don't blame them. It's
They
kind
should
of
be.
funny.
They should be. Number 4, Omniwing says, one time Red Lobster offered an unlimited king crab leg deal because they brought the servings out slowly and were like, nobody's going to sit around there for 6 hours and just eat king crab legs. Actually, lots of people did. So many they lost millions.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. Number 5, K. King says, Sears ended their catalog mail order business in 1993. For over 100 years, they had sold everything from hubcaps to houses via mail order and shipped them all over the country. Amazon was founded in 1994.
It just took over.
Yeah. To be fair, Amazon in 1994 was a bookstore.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember.
Number 6, Quiznos. Corporate office decided to buy the vendors and then contract all the franchises to only buy materials from corporate with a price hike. The margins got way too high and all the stores went out of business. They shot themselves straight in the foot. Yeah.
It's a shame. I kind of like Quiznos.
They deserved it for that Sponge Monkeys shit.
Oh God.
Oh, that was them.
Do you
like the those commercials?
Because they are good too. Like, oh wow, contract your fucking commercial to rathergood.com. That makes a lot of sense.
Rather good.
Number 7, the Hankinado says Kodak completely went under when they chose not to adopt digital photography. They eventually came back several years later somehow. By the way, Moogle, you spelled Sponge Monkeys wrong in the sense that you spelled it right. There's no E, and but it's like Spung Monkeys for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah.
For some reason.
Number 8, Heinz Bumbeans says, not a company, but a country. The Northern Ireland Renewable Heat Incentive. Basically, they came up with the bright idea of encouraging people to use renewable power by paying people to do so. Except you got more back per unit than cost per unit, so people would buy an electric heater, put it on 24/7, get the money, use the extra money to buy another heater, plug that in for 24/7, get more money, buy another heater, and so on. $500 million later, they realized it wasn't such a good idea. The government collapsed and didn't reform again for 3 years.
Oh my God. What a fallout.
They didn't have a government for 3 years? That's wild. Number 9, Ragnar Dam... Then a bunch of gibberish says, Netflix almost did this as they made the transition from DVDs. They had a period where they dropped to dangerously low subscriber. Okay.
Subscriber.
Yeah, subscriber, the one subscriber. Number 10, Phil Drill says J.C. Penney tried to stop bullshitting customers and it backfired. They said no more sales. They're just going to price everything low because pretty much all sales at department stores are lies anyway. You're not really getting 70% off. The retail price was deliberately set stupid high to convince you it was a great deal. But the discount price is the actual value of it. So yeah, J.C. Penney's heart was in the right place, but ultimately it failed because customers are really that dumb and would rather be lied to.
Yeah, it's like, man, JCPenney has no sales going on. I'm not going there.
Yeah, sounds about right. Number 11, Wild Charmander 1992 says, this reminds me of A&W, who created the third pounder. Focus group. Oh, I remember this. This is so dumb. Focus groups and market research showed the meat was better than McDonald's quarter pounder. As in, like 99.99% of people preferred its taste over the McDonald's burger. It tasted better, and it was in many cases cheaper, and if not cheaper, it was the same price as McDonald's. And it bombed massively. When they tried to find out why it was discovered, the American people thought they were being cheated because 3 is a smaller number than 4.
Oh, stupid.
Stupid. A&W, realizing they can't explain grade school fractions to fully grown adults without coming across as condescending assholes, quietly took the burger off the menu.
Like, come on, people. Come on.
Sad but true. Number 12, from Ayman Zakaria in 2012, after a 3-year hiatus on the sport, F1 team Lotus signed driver Kimi Raikkonen for the 2012 session. His contract included a clause that stated that Raikkonen would earn €50,000 for every point he scored in the 2 seasons of his contract. Raikkonen then went on to finish 3rd in the 2012 championship and 5th in the 2013 season, which was exceptionally impressive for Lotus. In doing this, he got 390 points in 2 seasons, and Lotus had to pay him €50,000 for each point, so he earned €19.5 million off of that bonus alone, which led to Lotus almost filing for bankruptcy.
Somebody negotiated a hell of a contract.
That's one hell of a deal, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
Number 13, Hattic says Borders Books. It had a chance to be Amazon, from Amazon, before Amazon, and turned it down. Amazon Books, as it was then called, was a small online bookseller. It had a rather incompetent search engine, titles were misclassified, and it dabbled in office supplies. It was one early e-tailer among many. Amazon's pitch was that it was trying to be an online version of the retail giant Staples, and it could ship quickly. Then a conversation happened with the giant Borders Books. This internet thing was starting to look like it would harm retail sales, so Borders contacted Amazon and asked them to build some online inventory, a web storefront, and a sales management system. Because of the dot-com bust, Borders got spooked. The internet was a passing fad. Amazon could keep the system. Borders wanted out. By 2007, Borders ended its marketing alliance with Amazon, but Amazon had begun using the system it built for Borders. Amazon did keep the system. It was a much, much better system that Amazon was using itself.
I mean, they said it could have it, so
they had
sorry.
It. Yeah. Number 14, Soros Bucks Laundromat. That sounds funny. Says, I got a fun one. You know how on Shark Tank they always introduce Kevin O'Leary as having made his fortune selling an educational games company? He single-handedly killed the learning games industry, those Carmen Sandiego type games that were real popular in the early aughts, by forcing the devs to churn them out faster and cheaper at the cost of quality, slowly killing the market. And he also nearly bankrupted Mattel when they acquired his company.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, Shark Tank fucking sucks. Number 15, No Soul says AIDS Diet Candy. I remember this. They didn't change their name after the emergence of the AIDS virus.
Yeah, they were sticking to their guns.
They really should.
That Y made all the difference.
Number 16, Rider Kicker says, not necessarily bankrupted, but I remember this old article from pre-Massively OP days about a Japanese MMO that basically got deleted after launch. The story goes like this. On October 21st, M2 suffered a critical server issue, and the game was taken offline to check it out. Unfortunately, the problem was widespread, and the company could not restore the game's data from whatever backups it did or did not have. With no other option but to declare the title dead on arrival, Han Game posted an announcement that it could somehow deleted an entire MMO and could not or would not restart it from scratch.
That's a shame.
Hey, Taco, what's going on? Number 17, Often Gets It Wrong, says, Quibi, when it decided that 10-minute clips watched in portrait on a commuter train is the future of home entertainment.
I remember Quibi, but I never bothered to check it out.
Nobody cared, yeah. Number 18, Travel-Sized Blonde writes, can we get an honorable mention for Staples in its multiple attempts to merge with Office Depot despite the fact that they're both on track to die within the decade?
Yeah, they want to go down together.
Yeah.
Go down together.
Oh my. Number 19, They Call Me Momo says, I used to work at Kmart and they never bothered to update any of the store layouts, and they were more concerned with signing people up for their rewards card and or credit cards, which led to longer lines, which led to more complaints. You get the idea. Also, the merger with Sears was the final nail in the coffin. Now all the Kmarts in the area are closed. All right, number 20, Downtime Redditor says Yik Yak. It was completely anonymous message posting at first. I actually talked to the original founders at a startup intern fair in Atlanta back in November 2013. And they said their app was supposed to be some online localized public bulletin board where people can post about events or parties or study groups. Obviously, it became like a fun anonymous messaging app. Then they obviously started to, I guess, make it less anonymous by introducing usernames, which while they can still be throwaway usernames like we use on Reddit, it certainly made people lose favor of the app. They eventually shut down, and I think Square acquired their employees for some amount of money, I think between 1 to 3 million. Crazy to think they were at one point valued at 350 million.
I do remember Yik Yak, but I just had no interest.
I don't. This is the first I'm hearing about it.
Oh, okay.
Basically proto 4chan or something.
It sounds almost like that what is that like?
Right, Telegram or
Telegram. Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
Number 21, I don't know. Oh, this is Audio 54. I don't know if they're gone, but Skype shit their pants during the race they had to market lead in 10 years of practice in. Then COVID hit and everybody was stuck indoors but wanted to still talk face to face. Zoom popped up while Skype was cleaning up the bathroom. Sounds
whatever right. Did happen to Skype? I remember using Skype.
They got bought by Microsoft and it started to go downhill real fast.
Which it was pretty low already, so.
Yeah, and I mean, Discord is a better version. Zoom is a better version. It's, you know. Number 20. I mean, we used to record the show on Skype.
I remember.
22, Greg Baum says, Vine burned up all their investment capital to get Warhead ADHD to think it was like the best thing at the time. So investors were like, ooh, finally, that cost us a lot of money. Now can you please flip the make us some fucking money switch so we can recoup our losses? But Vine had this huge competitor in YouTube, and YouTube didn't have to be profitable because it was bankrolled by Google. So Vine said, investors, please, if I flip the make you some fucking money switch by filling the service with ads or whatever, and these new users will just abandon us. And the investors were like, then what the fuck is the point of all this? And thus Vine died. It would come back years later as TikTok from China because the Chinese could copy all the design work from old dead Vines and make the cost of operations super low. Also, Google was finally trying to flip the make us some fucking money switch on YouTube, which gives TikTok some breathing room to monetize. Number 23, Drizzes says, PhotoBucket changing its terms of service back in 2017 to require a yearly fee for all those images you previously posted on it for free. So that's what happened to PhotoBucket.
I had forgotten. I remember this. I had forgotten that I had a PhotoBucket account from way back, and then I got this.
You got that email?
Like, wait a minute.
I'm not paying you. Number 24, Radio Shack. Those guys just couldn't make their niche happen and never attempted to evolve. I mean, let's be honest. Like Radio Shack had like a niche in the 70s, but we were in the 90s, and they're charging you like $20 for 2 AA batteries, and they want your zip code. They can go fuck themselves.
Right.
I mean, they're called Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Time to pick up the pace. Same with AT&T. Why you got Telegraph in there?
Apparently they were exclusive retailers for Tandy computers.
Yeah. And finally, number 25, Circuit City, major retail chain in the 80s that collapsed under mismanagement. Its arguably biggest blunder was firing all their experienced, better paid workers for cheaper, inexperienced ones. Apparently selling merchandise and keeping customers happy is important in the retail business? Oh no.
I mean, they still have The Source by Circuit City.
Circuit City was one of my brother's first jobs.
Oh my god. Oh. So out of 25, what say you guys?
I knew probably a good half of them before.
Yeah.
But I'll be generous and say about 20.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 as well.
Same here. 3 20s.
EB, you have a list for us, don't you?
I do.
Let's do that.
It is. So, every once in a while on the Den, I will make a reference to something that absolutely no one gets. Well, I guess now one of my friends on there gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I used to hang out a lot on Fandom Wank back in the early to mid 2000s.
Wank.
Now, just as a quick summary of what Fandom Wank was, it was back in the old LiveJournal days.
Uh-huh.
You know, they had communities. The communities would start fighting with each other, and this basically existed as a place for people to point and laugh at the people fighting with each other. It actually got banned from LiveJournal for harassment, but it was moved to a website called JournalFan that I don't know if it was made specifically for Fandom Wank, but I know people only ever used it for that. And now it's gone. But this is the top 10 best drama stories anniversary edition, which explains some of these memes.
Wank.
Okay.
And it's actually in chronological order, so I'm going to be reading it in reverse chronological order.
Whatever you want to do.
So, I also want to just make a quick note that the author of this article, Aja Romano, is actually a former big name on Fandom Wank herself.
Wank.
Now she works for like Vox and Daily Dot stuff. But number 10, Diana Gabaldon saying, "I think it's immoral and I know it's illegal." And it was basically this woman came on. She was an author. As authors would periodically do, they would get really, really fucking mad about people writing fan fiction.
Yeah, I remember this now. It's immoral and illegal to write fan fiction.
And the thing is, every time she went in and compared it to something, she would compare it to something increasingly worse.
Oh, so like by the 10th time, she's like, "This is just like the Holocaust," you know?
This is Nazis.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
They actually posted a graphic that's like the terror alert.
Oh my god!
They actually are rating things that she really did say.
Oh,
And
no.
Lo was camping in her backyard without her permission. Guarded is stealing her roses. Elevated is mailing her porn about members of her own family. High is selling her children into slavery.
Oh my
Whoa!
god.
And then Severe is fantasizing about fictional characters from her novel.
Wait a
Oh, that's
Wait,
the worst.
that seems less severe than the others.
Yes.
Not to her.
So, basically, that became a big thing, and also it introduced a lot of people to fair use at the time, too.
Yeah, which is important.
So,
Remember
number
when that was an
9
important thing.
is something that I do actually really wish I could quote sometimes, but I feel like people would take me literally. And it's, but what are your thoughts on Yaoi? And
I
It's
know what
really-
that is.
it really wasn't a big deal that Gus started this. Somebody went into it was just like this boring little wank. They noticed
Yeah.
somebody went on there and they said they just started like dropping this epic essay on Yaoi, and nobody cared, gave a damn about
Yeah,
it. And
it's
ever
like-
since then,
It's like, but what are your thoughts on Yaoi?
and that was basically the sir, this is a Wendy's drive-through at the time.
now you can say that whenever somebody is popping off, right?
Yes.
Okay,
But
cool.
what are your thoughts on Yaoi?
The next one is Usagi Ko. She was a cosplayer who got really, really pissed off that people were copying her because she was the definitive Sailor Moon cosplayer, and any other Sailor Moon cosplayer was ripping her off.
By dressing as Sailor Moon.
She doesn't
Exactly.
own the property.
That reminds me of when I was playing the Sailor Moon video game and that guy came in the chat just to basically like wank off about all the Sailor Moon shit that he had.
Yeah, I remember that.
You should have asked him on his thoughts on Yaoi.
I didn't
Oh.
yeah, but I didn't know about that meme back then.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, this was Usagi Ko woman. She would couch surf, she would refuse to pay rent. At one point, she made her current boyfriend go onto eBay and buy the engagement ring her ex-fiance had put up for sale. She started saying really transphobic things to some trans person. Basically, what she was best known as is she kept saying whenever people would bring her up to keep comparing everybody to those bitchy girls that made everybody's life hell in high school.
Sounds like she's one of them.
Which, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the irony, but it led
Yeah.
to the creation of Snacky's Law, which is basically
Yeah.
like a corollary to Godwin's
Yeah.
Law, that the longer internet argument goes on, the more likely somebody is to compare somebody to those bitchy girls from high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, instead of
Oh, okay.
instead of Hitler, it's Mean Girls.
Hitler, yeah.
This one I actually had you read on stream, but now he dead from coke.
Oh yeah, now he dead from coke.
What
Wait,
the
can you send it to me so I can do it again?
Yeah. I'll-
Now he did from
Yeah,
Coke.
I'll copy
Yeah.
and paste it so you don't see the rest of the
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever,
list.
whatever works.
Because it's pretty
Okay.
short, because the actual wank
Yeah.
wasn't really anything. It was
Here it
just
is.
that line was iconic.
I dated a man who was much older than me when I was 20. He had a very fit body and was 45. Think close to George Clooney's age, and he told me that if I went out with him, I could see what the nicer restaurants were like and how to meet men who had culture. Live in a small town in South Carolina, tired of men that shoot tobacco. He had traveled the world, owned many businesses, drove a Porsche, had a yacht, mansion. He was perfect. Of course, many other females wanted to date him, and he decided we should be friends. And now he did from coke.
Apparently, it was originally posted on the website Fame Tracker, which I haven't heard about since,
Yeah.
the early to mid
Now
2000s.
he did from coke. Okay,
Now he did from Coke.
fantastic.
Next one is one that both Neth and I quoted recently. His head is pasted on Ye.
Ah, yes,
the hell?
yes.
And this came from Crystal Wang, which
Wow.
this woman was found at was reportedly at fan conventions trying to sell her fan art. Now the problem was her fan art was just really bad photoshops of character Dominic Monaghan on whatever the heck she felt like throwing him on,
Yeah.
and it turned into this like massive thing on. For the first and only time in Journal Fen's history, they removed the comment limit because they wanted to keep the party going. 'Cause it hit the 50,000 comments. Uh, they claimed that it was, the wank that had everything. It led to the meme that I just quoted, his head is pasted on Yay.
Yep.
Crystal herself showed up at one point, so of course people had to make fun of her.
It do be like that. It do be like that.
That racked up a staggering 10,000 comments and is still spoken of fondly today.
And now he dead from coke.
Yeah.
No, he did. Yeah.
His head is pasted on Yay. I should type in how exactly that's spelled too, because it's like the specific spelling is what made it.
All garbled.
Uh,
Well, let's just move along because we do have limited
Alright.
time and lots of lists to get to.
So number 5 is another quick one. Anne Rice interrogating the text from the wrong
Oh my
perspective.
She
This
was such
was-
an asshole on the internet.
Yeah, she had just released her book Blood Canticle. I think this was actually during her religious
The
phase.
weird Christian phase.
And she showed up on Amazon because people were leaving reviews that the book sucked because
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
And then she kept responding to them and just giving these increasingly unhinged essays
Yeah.
in response. And that's where she wrote the infamous line that somebody was interrogating the text from the wrong perspective.
I remember Penny Arcade actually tackled that wank with a depiction of her actually beating up people who didn't like her book.
Yeah.
God, I don't know any of this.
She was kind of infamously really, at best, weird, at worst, kind of a bitch. So.
Yeah. I mean, not that
Kind of a
different.
bitch.
Not that different from another author we know, right?
Yeah.
Jesse doesn't know the story. I'll have to tell him later.
Number 4 is one that June's actually mentioned a few times recently. The Snape Wives. That is a huge can
that's
of
still
worms.
going. That's still being spoken about.
It's a huge can of worms. There are video essays about it. Long story short is this group of women online met each other and decided that through this various pseudo-religious belief system that they are all married to the character Severus Snape on they say the astral plane.
Oh no.
This was truly the Final Fantasy house of
Harry Potter.
Of Harry Potter, yeah.
I will say that it wasn't quite as harmful as
Final
Fantasy House.
It probably because people are looking for stuff like that, but it could have gotten there. You easily see how it could have gotten there.
And there are still people who believe in this and communicate with each other to this day.
It's still going.
And if you're wondering, they believe J.K. Rowling didn't create Snape, that she was another person that was channeling him.
Yeah, of course.
Now, where does large can of worms actually fit into this?
There are hours-long video essays.
Do they open the can and eat the worms as a...
Have you never heard can of worms as an idiom before, Jesse?
Sorry, I was being very facetious.
Oh, okay. Go. Let's move on. Jesse's being weird.
Number 3 is one that I have explained before. His wife, a horse. It was just a random day on one of the offshoot communities of Fandom Wank called Other Than Fandom Wank. And somebody posts on a polyamory community that he's having some difficulty because he's taking on a new partner and he's pretty sure that his wife is, getting some jealousy. He's getting some pretty decent advice and stuff from, people who are poly and how to navigate jealousy, until he reveals that the wife he's referring to is, in fact, a horse.
At least it wasn't an imaginary cockroach.
No. And there are some people who to this day believe that he was a troll.
Oh, well, probably.
Especially since at one point he talks about, there's a chance that she might be pregnant. They said it's his
what
and
an
stuff.
Idiot. Yeah, he's a dumbass, His
I
wife,
don't understand.
At least it wasn't a cockroach.
Sure.
Jesse doesn't know the Ogtha story either, I guess.
I don't know any of this.
There's this guy on Reddit he was obsessed with the story Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and ever since he was a teenager, he wound up imagining this fake girlfriend that was initially I think a woman who transformed into a roach in the story, but then she just was some kind of roach creature, and he couldn't be with regular women without fantasizing about his wife Ogtha. Then he married her, and he kept getting caught. Like, he kept admitting it, and people would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he would get like ostracized. Like, he actually made a reference to my wife at work, like, and it was like, "We were married," and eventually he had to admit that he was married to, well, quote unquote, married to an imaginary cockroach, and everybody just doesn't want to deal with him anymore.
This guy has way too much time on his hands. For real. Get outside.
Now, number 2 is one that I actually brought up a little bit to John, because he actually is familiar with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Andrew Bitter, who at the time was going by their dead name, but also by one of his early pseudonyms, Jordan Wood, creating the supposed Lord of the Rings
Yeah. It was a convention
called Tent Moot.
Yeah. Like
And
Ent Moot, but with tents.
Ah.
And it was
Big scam.
essentially a big scam.
Yeah.
Now, one of the people that he scammed actually wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
By the way, it's called "When a Fan Hits the Shit." By the way, great title.
Didn't they have a few of the actors from the movies like thinking that this was a real thing that they were going to appear at?
Oh yeah, they've had Viggo Mortensen and Elijah Wood.
Yeah. So it's like, can you imagine if you were like, you were a major actor who was in like the Lord of the Rings, and you think you're going to do a fan convention, and it turns out to just not really exist at all.
And I mentioned this Andrew Bitter, or Andrew Blake, I guess is his most recent name is. He's pretty infamous for doing, aside from that, kind of cultish things.
Yeah.
He lied and claimed he committed suicide in order to get out of the whole tent moot thing.
Several times.
Yes.
I hope he got better.
Each time.
He did, every time.
I got better, yeah. All right, we got the big number 1, though. We got to hear what this is.
I just wanted to add the most random thing about Andrew Blake, which is that his various cult antics actually led to him witnessing a double murder-suicide and getting shot.
Yep.
Good lord.
He's still alive, though.
Yeah, he's still alive. Number 1, another massive can of worms that has a lot of video essays around it. The Miscribed story.
See, this one I don't think I know this.
To boil it down, there was this woman, she was probably in her 30s even at the time this went down. She went by the name Miscribed, and she decided had it in her head she was going to become fans with they called them at the time big name fans in the Harry Potter fandom.
Oh God.
This was Cassandra Clare, who's the writer of that crappy young author series, The Mortal Instruments now. A few other people, including the Aja Romano, who wrote this article, and she admits that, she had a place in that whole wank. In one of the disclaimers. But as time went on, she became more, friends with these people, mostly through various controversies that came up that got them lumped together, closer together. People started thinking things weren't adding up. So they started looking, and they found out this woman had a massive amount of sock puppets. And almost every drama this woman had been a part of, she had actually orchestrated purely for the sake of getting close to these big name fans. And honestly, it was kind of like a turning point for fandom in general, because a lot of people stopped trusting their longtime fandom friends and stuff.
Yeah. Like, who do you don't trust this person is who they say they are at that point.
Right. And just, it changed, as the story came out around 2006, it just really, like I said, it changed the entire Harry Potter fandom, just kind of just purged itself of a bunch of people. And
it reminds me of, and I got into an argument with somebody on the internet, and I don't remember the argument, but I remember what happened when I Googled the person. Because this person was really not okay, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, who is this motherfucker? And I Googled them, and I found an entire forum filled with posts from just this one person.
Oh, dear.
They put out a forum. Nobody was allowed to post on it but them. There was threads with hundreds of replies, and he was the only person posting. And I almost wanted to be like, hey, there's a such thing as a blog, right?
Might as well be.
Right? Why don't you just get a blog? It was really weird though because he was having discussions with himself. And...
I think I might be familiar with that because I remember Cracked was talking about a similar forum that was like that.
He turned out to be pretty infamous, and I forgot what I got into it with him of something. I forgot what it was about, but the guy was.
It was specifically like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer forum that he was the only member, and he was engaging in various conversations with himself.
I almost thought, and the argument that was certainly not about Buffy because I'm pretty unfamiliar with it, but I forget like how I ran into this guy, but probably through YouTube, you know. But I just remember finding it and being like, holy shit. And now that I think of it, when I Googled him, I think the Cracked article came up. And that's how I found that forum. And I wondered if he thought that people would think that it was all different people, that it didn't have his name attached to it. You know what I mean? And that there was this really, really bustling forum. But, nobody was falling for that.
Oh my god, I feel like such an outsider here. I don't know any of this. I'm so clueless. I'm extremely... I hope there's other people in the chat that are just as clueless as I am on this sort of thing.
I'm sure there are.
I feel like I'm on an island.
That was a great album, On an Island. But, okay, so, yeah, 10 out of 10.
I gotta take you at your word. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, this is all some wank.
And it's real. Just that it's real. Oh. Look at this, 10's coming in.
Yeah, there's just 10s coming in like crazy. Okay, so our next list, this was submitted by Riddle, who gave me the Screen Rant link here for the 10 video game tropes that need to end, according to Reddit. So the first one on here is what they call annoying fetch quests. Which they refer to as generic randomized fetch quests that add nothing to the lore of the game world. I think that you could blame Skyrim for this because Skyrim had the whole thing where you could just randomly get quests. They called it the Radiant Quest system, and then everybody tried to do that, and like everybody tried to copy it, and they didn't look at the fact that nobody really liked the Radiant Quests and ignored them for the most part.
I think that one's probably not as egregious as some others, was probably why it's at 10.
Yeah, it's at 10. Number 9 is escort missions.
Which again is something that people have figured out how to do right in recent years.
Well, what's funny, and I was just about to bring this up, is the image used is Resident Evil 4, and that the remake of that just came out where Ashley is not a useless hump who can use a ladder.
Oh, some good AI. Oh my god.
Well, it's not even about good. Like she was unable to use a ladder. Like you had to catch her. She would jump down and Leon would have to catch her. Now she just climbs down the ladder like a normal fucking person.
She can use ladders on her own now, but now there's a system where she can be picked up and carried off if you're not watching her.
Well, that could happen in the original.
See, I didn't remember that. I just remembered she could be killed.
There was a specific enemy that would grab her and just sort of like run off with her.
And the suit of armor came back. It even notes on it makes her too heavy to be picked up. So,
the next one, too many items. I mean,
manage your shit.
No, I can kind of see where this is coming from because it's something that plagues a lot of open world games where you just like wind up collecting 5 million different types of little tchotchkes that you're never going to use for anything.
Yeah,
like in Stick of Truth.
Just for selling for like 50 gold each.
I mean, Stick of Truth was making fun of the trope, but absolutely. Limited inventory, and of course, once again, it is Resident Evil 4 used as the example here. I'm not against limited inventory, but I think the whole idea of playing inventory Tetris is the dumbest shit ever.
It is.
Like you have to literally fit it into a box.
I do.
Just have it by weight or something. Like come on.
Oh, over encumber.
The example that they give with Resident Evil kind of gets a pass because survival horror has the mechanics it does for a reason. The whole
Yeah.
inventory
Oh,
management is
absolutely.
about
But
not
it,
crutching on the
but
stuff.
it could have been. But I think that when it got to Resident Evil 4, they took it to an extreme that they didn't really need to take it to, and it could have
Oh,
just been
definitely.
simplified. Whereas you can carry X amount of weight or something like that.
Especially since Resident Evil 4 was also a game where you could easily pick up random shit like
Yeah.
Eggs or
Yeah.
dead
Yep.
snakes or whatever.
Long tutorials
Oh.
is the next one.
Oh god.
And the example used is Pokemon, which has
Please.
fallen hard into that. Like
Give me,
as
give
if
me a
we're
skip tutorial button.
as if we're not on the 9th game, and then we people basically know how Pokemon works.
Here, I thought the example would be everybody's favorite example of long tutorials, Final Fantasy 13. Yep.
Well, because Final Fantasy 13 is so fast-paced and so complex that the game does have to kind of ease you into these things. And I remember, like, when I fired up 13.2, there's 0 tutorial. It just, you are just thrust into the game. And it's like, wow, they really didn't expect anybody to have not played the first one. Because if you haven't played it, you have no idea how combat works.
Well, when is Final Fantasy 13-2 your first experience with Final Fantasy?
I don't know. Maybe you're some kid that got the game for Christmas or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
From your grandma.
But
this is the new game.
If you didn't, maybe you didn't play 13 for like a while. You have to have some tutorial. But like, I think back like the way that Pokemon handled it in Generation 3, where there was like a school that you could optionally go into and talk to people that would teach you the basics of how it worked. And then maybe the only forced tutorial was something like how to catch a Pokemon. It lasted like a minute. Now it's a little crazy.
Or like some of the towns in the early Final Fantasy games, you could choose to walk up to people and they'd be like, "This is how you do this activity."
Yeah. Impassable barriers. The example used is one of the Batman Arkham games, where Batman just can't seem to manage to cross police tape.
Oh, I mean, the world can only be so big, I guess.
But when you're using things like in a Batman game that's open world, when you're using things like police tape to make it so you can't walk up a flight of stairs, just put rocks there or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, so make it more believable.
Yeah, block it off completely.
Instead of invisible walls, put some kind of like actual scenery blocking.
Yeah, but not police tape.
Yeah.
I don't think Batman gives a shit.
Or ankle-high walls that are
my
keeping
God.
you from running.
Yes. Multiplayer-only games.
There's a genre for that, though.
I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that when they take a single-player series and then they release the next one as multiplayer only, that can get kind of rough.
That's a bummer.
Ask June about that one.
Yeah. Well, ask me about it when they release Final Fantasy 11 and then Final Fantasy 14 and Dragon Quest X.
I was just thinking about June with the recent Marathon game announcement.
Well, I think June's more opposed to the mechanics there. The whole extraction shooter deal, you know?
Yeah.
Microtransactions, that's the devil. That needs to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get that out of here. Get that shit out of here.
QuickTime events. I honestly think that QuickTime events can be really cool when they're used correctly.
They have a place.
They're not often used correctly.
I also think that the amount that they're used has gone way down recently.
Yeah, they're not in love with the idea as much as they used to be. Like, I think one of the coolest examples of QuickTime events was in Mortal Kombat X, and also Injustice 1 used them here and there to, like, during a cutscene battle, you could, hit a button or something to make something happen. Or in Mortal Kombat X, there was even a point where there was a fatality you could do with a QuickTime event.
That's cool.
And it would just be like, maybe if you failed it, you'd start the next battle with, like, a little less health or something like that, It wasn't dire. You didn't have to just keep trying. It wasn't like, here we go back to this again. It's a good game, but it has so many poor tropes. Resident Evil 4, where, the 15th time you failed to deflect the knife, and you have to watch the cutscene again.
Which, they did fix that in the remake.
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
A lot less QTEs. The fight with Krauser is
Yeah.
more about actual moving and parrying with your knife.
Yeah. Forced grinding. Is the last one on here, which, grinding can be good or bad, but
I hope they like Dragon Quest.
Well, see, Dragon Quest doesn't really have forced grinding.
Well, no, but you gotta grind if you want to make some progress.
No, not really. Not for quite a while, actually.
Oh, I'm thinking of the early ones.
Yeah,
I guess.
you haven't played
The only ones I've
recently.
really played.
You haven't played 11 yet, huh?
No.
It's a pretty straightforward. You can grind, but you rarely would ever need to. But the type of grinding that they're referring to is where you need to grind to unlock things.
Oh.
The sort of mobile game mechanics that, like, Mortal Kombat 11 had this issue really bad early on with the crypt and how much you had to grind in the crypt to get, like, certain costumes and things like that,
That's usually linked with like microtransactions
Yes.
to like
Absolutely.
grind
Speed it up.
400 hours or
or
you can
pay
$5.
money to and sometimes they would even have like, oh, pay $20 and unlock everything, and it's like, fuck
Yeah.
you, like, why don't you just have like normal progression? Out of 10, I'm gonna give this an 8. I don't agree with everything on here, but yeah, for the most part, 8.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. An 8.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
It's just 888. It's not the number of the beast. It's not lucky. It's just 8s. 'Cause 7 is lucky, right?
Yeah.
Just like Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, where is Discord? Why can't I find it? There it is. It's over here. Okay, so next list is also from Riddle, and it's from whatculture.com. 10. Here, let me just open it. 10 gaming boss fight tropes that need to die. So basically the same idea, just specifically about boss fights. And Riddle made a comment on this that says, I think this person just doesn't like boss fights.
I hate when bosses have health.
Yeah. Insta-death. The example used here is the from Final Fantasy, what do you call it? The Tonberry.
Oh, yeah. Donk.
Tonberries aren't even bosses.
Sometimes they are.
Oh, yeah, once in a while you'll find
Yeah.
like a King Tonberry.
Final Fantasy VII Tonberry is one that's used as an example. But, yeah, I mean, it could be bad. It could be not so bad. I'm not. I don't
Usually
really care.
enemies like Tonberries tend to be like high risk, high reward.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you can, if you're willing to put the time into it,
Mhm.
you can use the morph, like a fully leveled morph materia to
Yeah.
get ribbons from them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very hard, and you got to deal with the whole instant death thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you have re-raise, and it's not that fucking hard to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Number 9, waist up bad guys, which I guess they're referring to when an enemy is supposed to be large, and you're only seeing them from the waist up. They're using some Lego Marvel game as an example. I think that's something you see maybe in like a lot of like God of War and such. But
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that this is a problem. I don't see why.
Yeah.
I was
don't know.
actually thinking specifically of the villain from Dragon Quest, actually.
Bjorn
It
the
was-
Behemoth.
I was actually thinking of the one from 11.
Oh, 11?
The one that we said was like the most Akira Toriyama-ass boss ever designed.
I might have said that for every boss, though.
Basically,
it was-
Goku.
He ended up
wait.
being like...
Was it the guy on the ship?
It was Kolasmos, yeah.
Oh, Kalasmos, the final boss.
Yes.
Yeah, he is a waste up boss, come to think of it. It's just that you're so far above him. Yeah.
I got no problem with waist up bosses. I think they look kind
no,
of cool.
I like it, actually. Number 8, not really the big boss after all. And, of course, the example they use is Zant from Twilight Princess.
I think...
They shunted him aside for yet another iteration of Ganon.
I think the most annoying instance of that I could think of would be Final Fantasy IV. It should have been
With
Golbez
Golbez,
instead of
I
liked Zeromus.
I liked what they did with Golbez, I'll be honest. I agree with them about Zant. I thought he was a cool villain. And
He
just
was.
being like, oh, but Ganon's back for some reason.
Because Zelda,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we've had successful Zelda games without Ganon. It happens.
Yeah.
Number 7 is temporary invincibility. I mean, okay, I have to admit the end of Metroid Dread had me kind of ticked off with that.
Yeah. Well,
There's a whole fucking period where you can't harm him and...
just avoid, and wait for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't mind avoiding all the attacks, but at least give me the illusion that I'm doing some damage. You know what I mean? I mean, Metroid Dread was almost a perfect game. And there were like one or two things here and there that kind of ticked me off, and the last boss was one of them. And it was just because
I like
of
the
it.
story they were telling with
Oh,
the
the
last
story's
part.
fantastic. Absolutely. I just didn't
Yeah.
like the there's a whole section where you just can't hurt him, and it's a long time.
It was kind of a bummer.
Number 6, boss healing. Oh, get over it.
Eh,
I get pissed off by
Yeah.
boss
But
healing. I
yeah,
get pissed
but
off by any enemy healing.
yeah. The example they're using is Pokemon because the especially the champions and the Elite Four will like to spam healing
Full
potions.
restores.
Full
well, think
restores.
about it. If you can heal, why can't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In Pokemon, it's fair. Number 5 is deflecting projectiles. Are you kidding me? That's so fun if it's done right.
I mean, you could do like, I'm just imagining going back to the Zelda example,
Yeah.
like Link and Ganon doing like tennis with the
Yeah, the
energy balls, with using
Ganon
their,
tennis
like,
is the best.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
I mean,
mirror shield.
East 3 did it. There's also any games that give you a parrying mechanic. That's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, in East 8, I managed to parry an explosion. That's great. Why limit it to just projectiles? Number 4 is the 3-hit formula. This, of course, is the example he uses Mario. It's always like, oh, you got to hit him 3 times.
I feel like at this point we're just kind of ingrained to think that the boss, or at least each phase of the boss, is going to be 3 hits if there's no enemy health meter.
There was a Dorkly video about Mario being stuck in the Sonic universe. And he gets to, through many trials, he gets to Eggman, and it's like, I'll just jump on you 3 times. And Eggman's like, it'll take 8 times. And he's just like, oh.
I don't know why this has to stop. It's called a boss mechanic. It's one way to kill a boss.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Number 3 is hand weapon stuck in the environment. I'm not sure what they mean by this.
Maybe if you hit the boss with your weapon, is it stuck in the boss or whatever? I don't know.
I'm reading the text to see if I can figure out what the hell. Oh no, they're talking about when the boss takes a huge swing and you dodge it, and then they get stuck for a while, and then.
Oh, that's funny though. I like that.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, it can be overused sometimes, but I mean, honestly, I'm thinking of Doom uses that a lot, where the enemy charges at you and you jump out of the way, and then they're stuck and you shoot them in the asshole.
I was gonna say, usually when they get stuck, that's your big sign to go in and get some cheap damage.
Quick time events. We already kind of covered that one.
Yeah.
God of War again. You know.
And then the final one is obvious or glowing weak points. Look, you may think it's obvious, but Darkside Phil missed those constantly. I watched this man's play a Zelda game where he forgot that Link had a sword.
Zelda's my favorite series.
Yeah.
I live on those glowing
embers
of pain.
He was playing the Skyward Sword, and when you get that wind bellows thing that puffs air at enemies and not really a weapon, more of a tool.
Yeah.
He thought, well, this is my weapon now, and was trying to defeat enemies with it. And of course,
get out of here.
Doesn't do damage, and he's bitching about how Nintendo ain't shit and the Zelda series ain't good anymore and all this shit.
Who is this guy?
Darkside Phil, he's terrible. And he's like, well, it must be a stealth section, and he's trying to run past the enemies, and that's not working. And
is he that on purpose?
And people he might be, we don't know, but in the comments, they're like, wow, so that's what the game over screen looks like, Skyward Sword is not a hard game,
Not that hard, that hard, dude.
He forgot that Link had a sword. It's even in the title of the game. All right, now I hate to do this in the middle of List Critics, but I have got to pee really fucking badly. So if you guys can just entertain the chat for give me 20 seconds, I will be right back.
So anyway, here's a really terrible story that's going to get this channel thrown off of Twitch.
Please tell me you're telling the truth.
Nah, I don't have a story. In fact, I was just about to.
I probably have some stories I could tell, but shit, I really don't want to give this up. I know, Riddle, I know you're upset. I'm just as upset.
I know.
I don't know. Maybe EBA does have some tantalizing stories, but maybe you could hard R it up instead of an NC-17.
I mean, most of my interesting stories I've already told people. even dove into some of my family's interesting stories, including my brother and my grandmother. So.
Sue's booty pipe.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
When you first left, I was like, so here's a really awful story. He's going to get you thrown off.
I heard you. Okay, so here's something submitted by Elise. And why is this taking me to Instagram?
I just saw that. It's not a list.
You know what? It's not a list.
Response.
It's if you wanted to see the Baywatch Barbie thing. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind. All right, moving on. You actually had responded to that, Jesse.
Yeah.
You said no water squirting action.
I know. I was very upset.
Should we do your lists or should we wait till next month, EB? There's a bunch of lists that you had put in here. Maybe we should wait on those.
I'll say skip them for now, and then if we're short any for this month, then we can go back to them.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I have lists. Don't worry. Yeah. I have lists on my phone.
Oh, he's got lists.
Yeah, I got lists for days, son. All right. Alice's 10 favorite comic book or superhero based video games.
Okay.
What do you think is like the best superhero video game, you guys?
Oh my god. Maybe like Marvel vs. Capcom something.
It's easy to say fighting games. Like I could pick Injustice 2 or something, but I think like it's got to be like one of like Batman Arkham games, you know.
I was gonna say Arkham City. I was really fond of DC Universe Online. Arkham City had a really similar movement style that felt really good.
Well, here we are. This is Alice's top 10 favorite comic book or superhero-based video games. Number 10, Spider-Man, the PlayStation 1 game, which I know Alice is currently obsessed with at this moment. That was really fun. I liked unlocking all the costumes and all the crazy villains and stuff, and it was a fun game.
It's good enough.
Yeah. Number 9, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Never played it.
I'm not that familiar with the Ultimate Alliances.
Alice says, the Young Justice game EB let me play.
Oh, God.
We know that sucked. Number 8, The Punisher. Now, I've not played The Punisher. This is the PlayStation 2 game. I've heard
Apparently,
it was really good, though.
You can, like, kill people in really grisly ways.
Yeah, I heard there's some, like, wild, like, fatalities and shit in it. Number 7 is Injustice, Gods Among Us. Really fun game. Great story mode. Fun to play.
Good story, yeah.
I do prefer the sequel, but the first one's very good as well. Number 6 is the X-Men arcade game, which gave us, statements such as X-Men, welcome to die.
I am Magneto,
master of Magnet. Number 5 is X-Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse. I remember this game. Very good stuff.
I do not.
Yeah. Number 4 was Spider-Man 2, the movie-based game that was on like PS2 and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Really fun game. I think that was sort of like the template for Batman Arkham,
It's fun to just swing around.
It is. It really is. Number 3 is Batman Arkham City.
Okay.
Can't go wrong there. Number 2 is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. New Age of Heroes. Yeah. I'm gonna take you for a ride. I saw this Maximilian video where he's playing the game, but he had like a mod on that put all like this music and sounds from CVS2 in it.
Oh,
and he's
cool.
like, this feels wrong, doesn't it, chat? This is weird, isn't it? Let me tell you, if you think this feels wrong, there were all these like music mods back in the day, and I installed one, and it was like, oh, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 music mod, and it was just some guy's boot, and I get to the fucking character select screen, and instead of I'm gonna take you for a ride, it's ass, titties, ass and titties, ass, titties, titties, ass and titties. Can you imagine selecting your team? Like, I'm gonna be Storm Sentinel Cable, ass, titties, ass and titties. And
would DJ Assault DMCA us?
I've heard he does do that now, which is sad. And number 1 is Spider-Man for PlayStation 4.
Oh, I have that one.
I have not played it, but Alice recently got me a copy of it. I am planning on playing it on stream. It seems like a really cool game.
I bought a copy of that to celebrate going without smoking for like 3 months and then never played it.
Oh. Well, at least you rewarded yourself with some dopamine when you held the nice shiny box.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did watch someone stream this who is infamously incredibly bad at video games. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Oh boy.
And I had to explain to her during the final boss battle that Dr. Octopus follows an obvious pattern, and that if you learn how to count to 4, you can avoid his attacks.
That's too high.
I know, right?
I'm pretty sure she can't count that high.
She just kept rushing in, and I'm like, you're just getting smacked back, and I'm like, after every 4th attack, he pauses for a moment, you know. Oh, man.
Oh,
I
know.
know.
I just thought of another great comic book game.
Yeah.
Batman on NES.
Oh, that's classic, yeah. That's classic. None of them are quite that old, the oldest one being the X-Men arcade game, but...
I am old.
Aren't we all, right?
Uh,
Out of 10, I'm gonna say 8. There's nothing. There's a few on here I haven't played, but nothing on here that I think sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically where I am too, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking 7.
If I was gonna like change one thing, I would take off Injustice and replace it with Injustice 2. But,
I'm gonna say 8, just because
Yeah.
I'd probably put Batman Arkham City over a fighting game. That's just my personal preference.
all right, let's see what we got here from Alice. Alice's top 10 favorite albums of 2005.
Ooh, a very specific year.
We've been getting these. Like June did the best video games in 1993. And,
Yeah.
like, I like this kind of thing. Number
Hard to
10.
think back to 2005.
Yeah. Number 10 is Siberia from Echo and the Bunnyman, who I've never listened to. So
I think they have a song on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack.
Yeah,
That's about all I know.
their greatest work. Number 9 is Fields of the Morning Sun from Fields of the Nephilim. Not familiar. Never heard of them.
Never heard of
Yeah. Number 8 is Homegrown from Steve Porter. I'm at a loss. I don't know Steve Porter.
I haven't heard of any of these.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Number 7 is Black One from Sun. Not terribly recently, but I did do Sun for music appreciation, and it was an experience. I remember Moogle basically just jizzing in his pants when he joined the stream, and he was like,
Awesome.
wow, this is the heaviest music I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
It's a specific type of metal called drone doom, where
Lord.
it's not like there's no like riffs or anything, but it's like it's like it's just like a droning sort of uneasy, oppressive sort of noise, and it could be really good. That's not my favorite Sun album, but also it's the one that came out in 2005. So
I'll say no thanks to that.
I think you would actually like it because it's so like ambient, you know.
Ambient, I don't know. I need something with a beat.
Oh, you need to be able to shake your ass.
And watch myself.
If you shake your ass to Sun, I think you have to do it very slowly.
A very slow twerk.
Number 6 is Blood Inside from Ulver, one of my favorite bands. Excellent album. Weird shit. Love it.
He's here for it.
Yep. Number 5 is Octavarium from Dream Theater.
I know that one.
I remember people like losing their complete shit over the album's cover. Like before it even came out, people were pissed off about the cover. And it was just such a dumb controversy because it was like a lot of people just like kind of taking a goofy image way too seriously. But good album though, really good album.
It is.
Yeah. Number 4 is various artists Wu-Tang meets the indie culture.
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
I guess they met the indie culture in 2005.
Hope they were nice.
Yeah. Number 3 is Playing the Angel from Depeche Mode.
Still kicking in 2005.
Yeah, still kicking. Number 2, I think you'll appreciate this one, EB. It's The Sunset Tree from the Mountain Goats.
Oh, that's a great album.
Or as EB wrote it, The Mountains Goats. And to no one's surprise, if you know Alice, their number 1 pick is a sing-song and a scrap from Chumbawamba.
Wow, Chumbawamba. Crazy.
Alice loves Chumbawamba.
Some anarcho-punks.
It's interesting because this album is so not punk either. It's very folkish. but the lyrics have not gotten any lesser. And
Those guys have done everything.
They really have. And after listening to this, because Alice had asked it for music appreciation, and I played 2 albums, one of which was a sing-song and a scrap. And I have to say, the only word that I would use to describe it is beautiful. It is that good. It deserves to be number 1. But Oliver deserves to be number 2.
Okay.
And then Dream Theater. But yeah, it's obviously not my pick for top 10 albums of 2005, but there's no surprises here knowing Alice's eclectic tastes, and I will give this a 7.
I am abstaining from voting because I've only actually listened to 2 of those albums.
So 2 out of 10, gotcha.
I'm going to say 4 out of 10. Only,
Okay.
not because some are good, some are bad, but more of what I know and what I don't. Sorry, Alice.
I'm sure it's fine. Let me see something real quick. No, it's not right. Oh, here we are. Here. I'm trying to see if I can somehow resurrect my top 10 albums of 2005.
Ooh, yeah, let's see.
Let's see if I can manage to... I'm trying to bring it up on, like, archive.org, but apparently not.
Didn't you have, like, an old blog, like a metal blog or something?
Yeah, I tried to bring it up on archive.org, and I've either screwed up the URL or it's not on there. I could check to see if it's on my hard drive real quick. There's a possibility, you know? A remote possibility, which means I would probably need to look in the old my documents, right?
Oh, wow.
Because I know I did. Here's a bunch of them, but not as far back as 2005.
And you did these like the year that they came out, right? Like you did that list in 2005.
Well, it was usually in January, of the next year.
Well, close enough.
Yeah, I don't have the 2005 one, unfortunately. The earliest one I have is 2007.
Damn it.
So, I don't have it, sorry. I know Octavarium was number 1. Okay, Moogle has sent me a link from rpgranked.com. And this mad lad ranked all of the jobs from Final Fantasy V.
Wow, okay.
So not only are they ranked, but they're also in tiers, which is interesting.
Oh.
The NecroVMX Lost Media, exactly.
I'm in tears thinking about it.
So, I'm assuming both of you guys have played Final Fantasy V at one point or another, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think is give me what you think is the best job and the worst job?
Oh.
I feel like if you know what you're doing, mime could be seriously OP.
Mime's broken.
But you have to set things up.
Yeah, mime's broken. What's the worst?
The worst? I'm not very fond of Beastmaster. I never was.
Nobody uses that shit.
That's the problem is I never really used it, so I'm not sure. I just never had any gumption to.
Well, what do you think is the best and worst out of what you used?
I don't know. I really like using Time Mage.
Mage, having access to haste is amazing. I think the best job is having no job.
Oh,
towards the end of the game, you can just equip 2 different things from 2 different jobs, like say Red Mage and Summoner, and then just equip whatever weapon you want. And then the worst job, for me, I never found any use for the Beastmaster either.
Okay.
The Beastmaster sucks.
I just never used them. That's so I have no idea.
Okay, so starting off the F tier at number 26 is the Dragoon. You want to like the Dragoon, but it's not good.
Yeah, the whole jumping thing.
The jumping mechanic is lame. I mean, you could maybe give jump to a ninja, but it's still like Dragoons are kind of whack.
I always had a soft
Kane.
spot for Dragoons as a class. So.
The design is cool. The aesthetic is great. You want to like it. It's just in Final Fantasy V in particular, it's not fun.
They're the Boba Fett of the game.
So that's the only one in F tier, actually. In D tier, starting at number 20 is the Oracle. Yeah, the Oracle could, it's so random that you could just wind up wiping yourself out.
It's really risk reward. You wouldn't use
Yeah.
it on a boss, at least.
You shouldn't use it at all. You could lose to a bunch of goblins if you don't know what you're doing. Number 24 is the Berserker, which there's not much of a point to using the Berserker.
I mean, you don't really. I like to be able to have
It's
more
like
control.
let me turn one of my characters into Umaru.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, what's the point? In the C tier, number 23 is the Beastmaster. Why would you use the Beastmaster?
In C tier, though, interesting.
I'm surprised it's that high, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Maybe because there's an actual use, like it doesn't just go on autopilot or whatever.
Yeah. At number 22 is the Dancer, which I have to say, there is a niche for using the Dancer. And it's in the middle of the game. If you kind of know what you're doing and you have the correct weapon, you can do balls crazy amount of damage very quickly.
Nice.
I never bothered to do a deep dive into the Dancer. I just wanted to see what it was about once.
If you have a Dancer that can equip swords, they're very naturally powerful, but what you really want is a Dancer's weapon, the specific types of daggers that you could wind up just doing. Like, you could do Gao damage,
Yay!
I can't remember. Was Final Fantasy V one of those games where being able to equip ribbons was exclusive to dancers? Like, you had to get that.
Yes, they could equip ribbons. Number 21 is the Geomancer, which it's always situational what kind of terrain you're on,
The Mog of the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Number 20 is the Necromancer, which that's from the remakes, and you got it like after you beat the game, so who cares? You're like, oh, I could do the bonus dungeon, I could be a Necromancer. The only thing is that you're undead, so you can't heal yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could use items, but in RPGs, nobody uses items.
Well, no, they're too good to use.
Yeah. Number 19 is the Thief. The Thief is kind of good at everything except fighting. Right?
Yeah,
like
it's kind of whack if you actually want to do damage.
Yeah, if you're trying to get through a dungeon, you can see the hidden passages, you could see traps, you could go faster. You can't get attacked from behind if you have a thief in the party. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just have one in your party.
There's other reasons to have a thief, but there's really you don't need to have one unless you're trying to steal specific items. Starting off the B tier at number 18 is the Black Mage. The Black Mage is pretty solid. You can't go wrong with
Yeah, straight up magic damage.
Death from above.
1979.
Number 17 is the Cannoneer, which is also from the remakes. The Cannoneer is kind of broken until you get to the end of the game, and then it's completely useless.
That's another one that I didn't really actually use.
You could do balls out crazy insane damage, but the Cannoneer has almost no weapon to use to deal with multiple enemies or multiple targets on a boss, which everything at the end is.
So single
Pretty
enemy.
much, yeah. Number 16 is the Monk. I mean, early game, they're fucking unstoppable.
Oh yeah, use them fists.
They're fucking unstoppable. They're not
Fist
as
everything.
Yeah, just go out fisting people. It's not as broken as the Final Fantasy Tactics Monk, but it's pretty fucking broken. Number 15 is the Knight. Another early game, pretty solid. Just basic warrior, basic bitch.
Yeah. Get you through.
Number 14 is the Gladiator, which is I don't know. The Gladiator is a weird shitter that can do this finisher thing, and it's it's sort of like what the Cannoneer does. It's just insane damage, but it's risky.
I used the Gladiator for a little bit because it looked kind of cool, but it didn't offer what I wanted.
It's a weird shitter. Number 13 is the good old Time Mage. You probably don't want to keep the characters as Time Mages, but you definitely want to learn Hastka.
That's pretty much what I do.
You want, and they can get Meteor, which if you combine that with a Red Mage, you will be unstoppable.
Hell yeah, I like the Red Mage.
Yeah, number 12 is the Bard. I don't really like the bard, to be honest.
I've never really cared for Final Fantasy bards.
Yeah, they're not like real bards. I mean, the stat boosts are good, but it's just probably easier to use a time mage.
Yep, exactly.
Number 11 is the red mage. The red mage isn't particularly good at anything and takes forever to master, but once you master it, you get dual cast, and then you pretty much won the game.
It's worth the wait.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
But then you can cast summons twice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Number 10 is the ranger. I never used the ranger. I
did
mean,
when I first had access, and I don't know. Like
range-
it's fine. You stick them in the back.
the ranger's like a shitty ninja.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did it mostly because I was like playing dress up when I was playing through it.
Wow. Yeah, I got to see what the sprites look like. Okay, going into the A tier at number 9 is the white mage. You need one. Put it simple.
Absolutely.
You need a white mage.
Re-raise.
Number 8 is the ninja. The ninjas are always good in Final Fantasy. I don't remember there being a ninja in Final Fantasy that was like bad. The dual wield is fucking broken.
Yeah, you're right.
The dual wield is completely broken. Good shit. Number 7 is the Mystic Knight, which is pretty much like the Knight, but better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why... I mean, Knight itself is fine. Wait till you get Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic Knight's like the upgrade, pretty much. Number 6 is the Samurai. They can do some cool stuff. If you don't mind throwing money at the enemies, you can go and just wipe out bosses very quickly.
Late game, broken.
Mix it with the Gladiator's Rapid Fire, and yeah. Broken. Number 5 is the Summoner. I mean, who doesn't like, having your Summoner dual cast Bahamut and then having your 3 mimes copy that? You know what I'm saying?
You know what's up. You know how to do it.
Number 4 is the Blue Mage. Really? I don't like the Blue Mage.
That high? Okay.
The Blue Mage is a gimmick. I mean, you have to learn specific. Like level 5 Death is good. Thousand Needles is good. There's maybe 1 or 2 others. White Wind, which is better in Final Fantasy VII anyway.
I mean, the spells are good, but you can learn your own stuff just fine.
And think of Blue Mages, I think more of... Well, first I think of Final Fantasy X-2, which didn't even have a proper Blue Mage. It was Gun Mage that did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But
the weird thing about Blue Mage is you can't use dual cast for some reason.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So even if you use like...
Fuck Blue Mage.
No purple mages in Final Fantasy.
If Final Fantasy VII, if you have like an enemy skill materia, usually you can pair it with like a...
Oh, yeah.
Dual use...
I mean, you want
cast.
White Wind, right?
Yeah. You want White Wind,
No Puce mages. No Taupe mages.
Generally trying, people try to go out of their way to get.
Yeah. Number 3 is the Chemist. Chemists are either the worst class ever or completely fucking broken, depending on if you know how to use them.
And I didn't really know how to use them, so I just never really bothered.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could turn an enemy into a dragon and then use Dragon's Kiss and finish them off. You could do damage that you can't even believe with the Chemist, but you have to know what to mix.
That's the problem.
It's sort of like memorizing a Minecraft table,
I don't know and I don't care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And finally, going into the S tier, at number 2, we have the Mime. Basically, what did that last guy do? Do it again. Another one.
Oh, yeah, another
one. And as I predicted, number 1 is the Freelancer.
You got it.
No Mimic Command. What? Oh, no. But you can equip any armor, any weapon, and 2 non-passive abilities. Pretty fucking broken. That's what you want at the end. 2 Freelancers, 2 Mimes. Fucking let's go, right?
Everything else is just learning shit.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Okay, well, out of... how many was this? 20-something or other? Out of 26, I was a little put off by some of the things on this list, but for the most part, I do agree. Yeah, Blue Mage is a weird one. 19, I'm going to say.
I'm giving it a 20, an even 20.
I was perplexed by how high they put a few of them.
I like the Blue Mage.
18.
They were all Well, no, I guess I gave it a 19. Never mind. Okay, and then Moogle. Okay, I don't know if we're going to try and get through this. Moogle sent me this list. And this is insane. This is just the most Moogle thing ever. The 573 worst sci-fi, fantasy, and horror books. But obviously, we don't sit here and do 563 of anything.
Dude.
No. So Moogle said this is longer than 100, so don't bother with the rest. The first page is the top 100. And considering we don't even have that much time in the show, I don't think we have enough time for 100. So let's just make it 50.
I don't even know that many of. Well, let's see how many of these books.
I know you're not a big reader, but these are the worst of fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. Now, as you might expect, they're not really the worst because they're the ones that people heard of. The worst ones are some shit that nobody's ever heard of, right?
These might interest me. It might be so bad it's good.
Well, you tell me. So we'll start at number 50. So Terry Goodkind's Naked Empire. I've actually read this book.
I'm already intrigued. We're talking about Naked.
It's bad. It's about how he hates pacifism, and if you're a pacifist, you're a giant shitter that deserves to die.
Also, Terry Goodkind is.
I mean, he's pretty much he's fantasy Ayn Rand. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Naked Empire is particularly vomitous, though. Number 49 is Vicky Lobel's Keys to the Coven. Now, there's no notes in any of these, so we're just going by the titles here. So, number 48 is Marion Zimmer Bradley's Bractrillium. I'm just going to keep going. We'll comment if just speak up if you want to comment on something.
I was going to say Marion Zimmer Bradley's the person that gave Mercedes Lackey her career, so.
I'm going to have to tell Jesse the Mercedes Lackey story after this.
There's a lot of stories I'm going to have to hear.
Number 47 from everybody's favorite author Orson Scott Card, we have The Folk of the Fringe. He's terrible. Nobody likes him.
Is he?
He's awful. He's a terrible writer and he's a terrible person.
I feel really dumb listening to this. Like, I'm not a reader.
Didn't you read Ender's Game though? I think you did. Didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. So you know.
As much as that author's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah. Most people have read that.
He also did like comics and stuff.
Oh my god!
A lot of people know him now.
And his comics are so bad.
His comics are even worse than his books. And what's funny is he went in and claimed that he didn't like comics because they had no idea how to do concept of a good sci-fi. It's like, well, neither do you, having read your comics.
Ooh.
Number 46 from Marion Zimmer Bradley. We have The Mists of Avalon. Number 45, Frank Herbert's Dune. Really?
What?
Frank Herbert's Dune? Excuse you?
I've seen the 80s movie.
I know Cora sent me a question the digest about apparently Tolkien.
Now, what's interesting, Tolkien did not like Dune, that's true, but he didn't like most modern novels. But here's the thing, this is from Goodreads, by the way, and Dune has like a 4.26 out of 5 rating, so I don't know how it's on there. Well, I guess it's from people submitting it, but...
I was going to say it's a user-created list.
Yeah, it is.
Lets you do
Dune
that.
is not a bad book, you're a dork. Number 43, George Lucas's Shadow Moon.
He wrote books?
Yeah, he did.
Oh dear, he wrote books.
Number 43 is Frank E. Peretti's Piercing the Darkness. Sounds like a porno to me.
Nice. Pierce your darkness.
Number 42 from C.S. Lewis is Ostantia Bitwa.
Sounds hoity-toity.
I don't like C.S. Lewis. What is Ostantia Bitwa? Oh, this is linking to it's the 7th Chronicles of Narnia, but whoever submitted this was linking to the Polish Goodreads.
Okay.
Well, I dipped out in the 3rd Chronicles of Narnia, so I can't imagine how bad it is at that point.
C.S. Lewis has about as much subtlety as would only pass by dumbass.
That great wow. That great meme where it shows like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis about allegory. And it's like, Professor Tolkien, would you say that your books are an allegory for the Second World War? And he's like, no, never, not even once. Ask me that again and I shall call the police. And then it's like, shows C.S. Lewis like looking all sad, writing, if even one person doesn't understand that the big lion is Jesus, I'm going to set myself on fire.
We know. Oh my god.
Number 41 from Gregory Maguire is Son of a Witch.
Oh, I fucking hate that book.
I've never even heard of it. So.
I like the title.
Yeah.
One of my, it's either number 1 or number 2 of the worst books I've ever read.
That's pretty bad.
It's how to write a book without any characterization, any plot, any conflict. Nothing goes on in that book.
Okay.
Oh no!
It's the sequel to Wicked.
I gotta continue because we got a bunch more. We gotta finish this by 9. So feel free to comment, but we do want to keep it brief. Number 40 from Piers Anthony wrote "Being a Green Mother." What the hell is wrong with you, sir? Number 39.
He has had terrible books. That one was not one of them.
Oh, okay. Number 39 from Sarah J. Mass is A Court of Mist and Fury. Number 38 from Colleen Hook is Tiger's Curse. Number 37 from Stephen R. Lawhead is In the Hall of the Dragon King. I feel like I've read that. And it sucked.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Number 36 from Stephanie Meyer is the entire Twilight Saga complete collection.
Well, it's the complete collection. 10 out of 10 right there.
Number 35 from Philip Pullman is The Subtle Knife. That's the Catholics voted that one up. That's a good book.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 34 from Orson Scott Card is Ender's Game. From number 33 from Laurel K. Hamilton is Mika. Number 32 from Ayn Rand is Atlas Shrugged. And then Shitty and Farted. Is that a bad one? It's weird.
Because I hear a lot of people, about scholars, they always have to mention it or something.
Yeah, not usually in a positive light, though.
Oh, all right.
Number 31 from Stephen R. Donaldson is The Wounded Land. I hate this author. I never read this book, but I hate him. I read one of his books called Lord Fowl's Bane, and I think I threw it across the room after a while. So
that's how I feel about Laurel K. Hamilton that got mentioned earlier, who I keep jokingly saying was who Stephanie Meyer wants to be when she grows up. It turns out they're friends, so
that makes sense. Number 30 from Terry Goodkind is Stone of Tears. That one was less shitty than his other books.
What a last name. Good kind.
Yeah, it's less shitty. Still shitty, but less shitty. Number 29 from Laura K. Hamilton is Incubus Dreams.
That's the biography of the band?
No, it's the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series.
Fucking Anita Blake.
Yeah, number 28 is The Tommyknockers from Stephen King, which is just fucking weird.
What's that one?
Is
that where they go into a different universe?
No, there's a flying saucer being dug out of the ground in the lady's backyard, and then it emits some sort of radiation that makes everybody super smart, but then they start turning into aliens.
What one am I thinking of? There's aliens from in another universe. I don't know. Forget it.
Number 27 from Robert A. Heinlein is Stranger in a Strange Land. I don't know about that one. Wow, really? From number 26 from Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampire? It's a pretty good book, actually.
It's a decent movie.
The long periods of scenery porn, it is a really good book.
I mean, it was even better as an AMC original show.
It was.
Hey.
Number 25 from Robert Newcomb is The Fifth Sorceress. Never heard of it. Number 24 from L. Ron Hubbard is The Invader's Plan. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard was a weirdo.
No, just no to L. Ron.
A big no to this next one. I can't believe they put this on the list. Number 23 from Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Are you an ass? That book rules.
Get out. That is a great series.
That is a classic of both comedy and sci-fi.
That's pretty bad.
I'd like a pan-galactic gargle blaster.
Number 22 from Philip Pullman is The Golden Compass, which is not even the title of the book, so I don't know what they're getting at here.
They really hate his dark materials.
It's a really good series. And the book is called Northern Lights, by the way.
I mean, I didn't like the book series when I first read them, but I'll admit that they're well-written books.
Yeah. The HBO series was really good, too.
Akko, they're smoking meth. That's what they're smoking.
Number 21 from the Harvard Lampoon is Board of the Rings, a parody of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, which
sounds like sucks.
It's like a Mad Magazine parody put into a full
book.
Yuck. Number 20 from Suzanne Collins is The Hunger Games.
What the fuck?
I don't care.
I wouldn't put it fine.
Okay.
wouldn't put it high up there
Yeah.
in high literature, but
Yeah,
it's
So,
not
wait.
a bad book.
The next three: Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
What?
Number 16 from Christopher Paolini is Eldest. Look, I haven't read his books. I saw the movie based on his first one, and I hated it. So,
Hated it.
number 15 is the Twilight Collection, just in a slightly different box set.
Okay, what's going on here?
I bet you like the top are going to be like the each book individually. Number 14 is from Gregory Maguire is Wicked, which I've never read, but it was turned into like a really successful play. So
I have
It's
read
still
Wicked.
successful.
yeah,
It wasn't a great book, but it was a hell of a lot better than the sequel, which was Son of a
okay.
Witch.
Number 13 from PC Cast is Marked. Never heard of it. Number 12 from Cormac McCarthy is The Road.
Road.
Another Harry Potter.
The Mark series were like kind of
Yeah.
popular YA books
Yeah.
when I was a teenager.
Another Harry Potter. Another Terry Goodkind. Wizard's First Rule. That was his first book, and it was weird.
Well, weird can be good.
A lot of torture.
Um,
Battlefield Earth from L. Ron Hubbard's number 9.
I bet.
Another iteration of the entire Twilight saga is number 8.
Come on, guys.
Stephanie Meyer again, but the host this time. I guess that's not
She did
very
write
good
other
either.
books.
Yeah, she did. Number 6 is Aragon. Like I said, I saw the movie. I thought it sucked.
Like Dragon, but with an E.
The book is okay.
I've heard it's better than the movie, but the movie was really garbage. The movie was like, what if Star Wars but dragons?
I mean, the book was written by literal kids.
Yeah, he was like 14.
Aw.
Stephanie Meyer again at number 5 with Midnight Sun.
That was.
Can I
Twilight,
just?
but
I'm
from
just going to
Edward.
tell you that the rest of the list is all Stephanie Meyer,
Okay.
and the top 4 are all 4 Twilight books.
Come on,
just-
guys.
Really wanted to put Twilight on there constantly.
You know, this is some weird shit. This
Good
list.
reads, more like bad reads, am I right?
Well, yeah. Well, what's funny is like some of these have really high ratings, but they're
And some of
just
them-
voted on to this, you know. So, like,
And I've read.
okay, I got to give it a. We got to end. So I got to say, like, out of 50, I'm gonna give it like a 3, and most of that is for putting Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it pretty low score
3.
too, based on recognizing some, really good books on there, but also recognizing some really bad ones on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say probably about a 10.
I mean, like the Tommy Knockers is like not Stephen King's strongest moment, but it's like not the 28th worst sci-fi book of all
I
time.
definitely put Son of the Witch up there,
Oh,
though.
okay, though. All right, Jesse.
I'll take your word for that. I'm gonna give it a modest 4.
A 4. Like, did we really need all 4 Twilight books and then
Multiple
like
times.
and then like different iterations of the box set? Like, come on, like curate
we
the
get
list
it, guys.
a little
You
bit.
don't like you don't like it.
Just
Very
put the
funny.
4 of them at the top and move on.
Bad
Okay,
list,
well,
bad.
very bad. I'm just looking at the rest of the list, and it's a lot of the same, like Stephanie Meyer, Terry Goodkind, L. Ron Hubbard, Orson Scott Card. So, but it doesn't seem to be going by the rating at all. So I don't know. Like, for example, at number 76 is Handbook for Mortals. Never heard of it. It's got a 1.5 on Goodreads with 939
Became
ratings.
popular on TikTok.
Well,
What?
is that
Like-
why it's supposedly bad?
How do you read the whole
no,
book
it's
in one
bad just
TikTok?
because it's bad.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes people are like, if TikTok people like it, it must suck.
There's an entire subset called Book Talk, which just does like short
Yeah.
reviews of books that are popular at the time. And
50 worst fantasy, sci-fi, and whatever the fuck, and not a single George R.R. Martin book.
Oh,
Oh, wait, there he is at number 54. We just missed out on it.
just some scripts from Beauty and the Beast.
There you go.
Like,
No, it was
some of those-
Game of Thrones.
like the Marked series, Elysia was a booktuber is covering those right now because I never actually read them. Which the author is actually a mother-daughter duo,
Okay.
which makes some of the things that they write about quite awkward.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's been the list critics. We do have to end. I don't really have time to go over the schedule, so we're just going to do a raid and very quickly. I guess I'm rating Justin Wong.
Oh, cool.
He's in the retro category. Looks like he's gonna play Killer Instinct or something.
Killer Instinct. Only on the Ultra 64.
Ultra. Do I have a raid message for Justin? I really don't have anything right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got a good one. Yeah, it's 2-2. I mean, we're pretty much catching the tail end of the match.
I don't know.
Glacius versus Fulgor.
Go in there and spam emotes.
I'm just gonna rate this. I don't know. I got no witty message. There you go. There's your raid call, guys. Copy it, paste it as we head into Justin Wong's stream. Him and somebody else. They're commentating on a Killer Instinct match right now, so we're probably not gonna get acknowledged. But he's like the only person on my list who's online right now. So here we go, guys.
Let's make some magic.
I love the camera angle when it's kind of swifts.
Make some gravy. Yeah.
Ooh, nice anti-air. That's a big.
Oh, you had.